Hey fam, what's up, what's up, what's up? This is Robert Anton here, robertanton.com. I'm bringing you some commentary from The Voice. We had the finale show today, and it was a pretty good show. Yeah, I'm just going to get right into it and talk about what happened. The coaches opened the show singing Under Pressure, I believe, by Queen. Yeah, it was kind of a mess. The solos were pretty decent, but it was kind of a mess. And Christina was having, I don't know if she's having trouble with her in-ear or if she was just off on her higher notes, but woo, it was a little, yeah, so yeah, whatever. Supposedly they did it at the last minute, so they should have just, I don't know, maybe they needed to fill up some extra time or something. I don't know what was going on. What did you think of it? Tonight, the finalists were doing an original song written for them and a duet with their coach. And supposedly the voting was going to be only on the original. Now we know with people that's not going to happen. They're going to be weighing everything. But at the end, they also played, they play the recap. If voting is only on the original, they should have only played the originals. They didn't do that. They played both performances. So that was a little strange to me. So they also announced that the top eight will be going on tour. And I think it's starting in July, like really soon. So if you guys want to check out that should be hot, and go to the website, nbc.com, I think it is, /The Voice. All right, and the first performance was for TeamAdam, Javier Colon, and he was singing a song by Rodney Jerkins called Stitch by Stitch. I thought it was a really good song. The only thing is I didn't think it was as polished a performance vocally as his last few performances. It was still good, it was still solid, it was still on point, but I was just expecting a little more. I thought it was a really good performance though, and it is a nice song. I was just expecting more, I guess. I was expecting something really special, and it just didn't happen for me. Next up, Frampton and Shelton did their duet, I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty. And it was funny because they dressed, alike, and it was kind of like the Blues Brothers. Plus the black background people were dressed that way. Yeah, and they both had the guitars in hand with the sunglasses on and all that good stuff. So I thought they sounded good together, and they seemed like they were having fun. Blake, even at one point, he was really overpowering Dia in the chorus, and I heard him pull back, so he was really cognizant of what was going on. So that was really good. Next up for TeamCeeLo, Vicki Martinez sang Afraid to Sleep as her solo, and I wrote she has great stage presence, and the song reminded me of Pat Benatar, which is funny because later on they did a Pat Benatar song. And then I wrote there's something lacking, though it's not the emotion, it's not the stage presence, it's not her, she has her dance and stuff she does. Everything was so on point. It was such an intense performance, but I kept coming back to her voice. Her voice was just, it was kind of shaky to me in points. And I think it was the same on the other performance where I said, it just wasn't quite solid. It wasn't quite there. I think it was the same here. It just something was missing in the vocal performance for me. Next up, Pitbull featuring NeYo performed Give Me Everything, and yeah, the most entertaining thing for me on this song was the dancers. At one point they went and kind of attacked the coaches, but besides that, it is what it is. Yeah. I'll say I don't see how somebody could be out of breath when they're not really dancing and singing. But yeah, okay, anyway. Next up was Beverly McClellan and Christina's duet, and they did her song Beautiful, that was written by Linda Perry. And I wrote it was a very touching rendition of the song, and it had a lot of tenderness for Beverly and just a lot of joy. She was just so happy to be there and so happy to be singing the song, and she was just radiant. Christina sounded good, and they sounded good together. And I thought the arrangement was really moving. I was starting to get little chills and stuff. I thought I was going to get some little, but I didn't, But I was on the edge, right there, really feeling it. It was really touching. And after the performance, they announced that the song was going to be in a show. And Katharine McPhee got on camera. And she was there to promote the show that it's going to be in, which is her new show, which is going to be on TV. It's called Smash. And then they showed a commercial of the show. I mean, it looked pretty good, but it was just funny that all this promotion came in this little bit of time, this segment in the show, whatever. Next up for TeamBlake, Frampton did her solo song, Inventing Shadows. And I wrote this was kind of hard. The shadow dancers were distracting. She was singing and she was making these huge noises that were distracting for me, and I was just like, oh, is it that hard for her to catch her breath during this song? Yeah, I felt like she threw herself into the song and she gave it her all. I thought she did a decent job. I liked some of her inflections, and I thought the dress was better than the frumpy thing she had on last week. You know, it was a little more classy and a little better. It was a little more, yeah, it was nicer. But I just couldn't really get into the song with all the and the dancers in the background. It just wasn't. I was just, you know how sometimes you're just drawn to a sound, and that sound was just like totally overpowering for me. Yeah, tell me what you thought about it. Yeah. So next up, Javier Colon and Levine did their song, their duet, and they did Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, of course. And I wrote, it was good to see Javier in a suit. I mean, he looked really nice. Usually he's in the jeans and stuff like that, you know, the really streetwear. And I think for performances, personally for me, you need to dress up a little bit. And this was nice and dressy, and he looked really good. Both of them were in black suits, really looking good, you know, and it was a nice look. And I thought they sounded really good on this song. I enjoyed their harmonies, and I felt like it was like almost a tribute to MJ. It was just very, very nice, very laid back. They did their thing. It sounded good. It was nothing overpowering about anything going on. It was just there. It just sat in the pocket. It really sat in the pocket for me. Next up, Brad Paisley performed Don't Drink the Water. And I wrote, it was a little too twangy for me. I like some country music, but this was just very twangy for my taste. But it was nice when Blake joined in and sang with them. That was kind of a nice little touch. Beverly McClellan sang Lovesick for her original song. And I just wrote, it was just a great performance. I liked the pre-chorus and the bridge much better than the chorus and the verse. But it was a nice catchy song, and she gave a lot of energy to it. I loved when she jumped on the piano, you know, and did her thing and then got right back up and got back into it. She just gives a wonderful performance. The song, yeah, it was pretty good. Like I said, I might make it more clear, I liked the pre-chorus and the bridge much better than I liked the verse and the chorus. If you go back and listen to it, you obviously know which parts I'm talking about there, and. But yeah, it was just a nice, good look for her. It sounded good, and she just gave a wow on performance. Just really powerful performance. Next up, Vicci Martinez and CeeLo did their duet, and they did Love is a Battlefield by Pat Benatar. It was funny. I did not know they were going to be doing that before I said she was sounding like Pat Benatar to me, and I think maybe during rehearsal there was some kind of crossover where she was getting some. But you know what? Vicki sounded so much better on this song than she did on her last two songs to me. Her voice was there. It was full on. It was powerful. And I think that sometimes when you're doing a cover, sometimes because you have somewhat of that artist in your ear, you do even better than you would normally do, let's say on an original or something that you don't know, because you have something to go on and something to build on. And I thought she did just a great job on that. They had this whole thing going on with funny costumes. You know, CeeLo performances show, and they had funny costumes and stuff like that, and they had some kids performing. I wrote they stole they stole the Willow Smith dancers, you know, because these little kids were twirling it. It reminded me of With My Hair Back Up. It was a good and lively performance. It really was. Okay, so that is all the performances. What did you think? Did you agree or disagree with me? I don't care. Whichever you did, you know, I've got my opinions and you got yours. But this is what I bring to you. I try to give you what I thought as a singer, as a performer, yeah, and all that good stuff. This is Robert Anton, robertanton.com. I hope you have been enjoying the commentary. Tomorrow, the results show is at 8 p.m. They're going to have a bunch of, you know, guest artists and stuff like that. And I hope you guys are going to join me. I am tweeting on Twitter from my account, and I'll list that down in the description box. All right, peace. I'm out.